Hello, once again, Kenny Jacobs from Bloomington, Illinois. I'm going to do another video today and talk about current events as it relates to Bible prophecy. In Matthew chapter 24 and in Luke chapter 21, in what's called the Olivet Discourse, the disciples asked Jesus what would be the signs of his return and of the end of the age. And one of the signs that Jesus gave was that there would be pestilences. Well, I want to quote from a few articles here, and I'm going to post the description to these articles, a link for these articles into the description box of this video. First one is the title is, Has a New Plague Arrived in the USA? 205 Americans die each day after acquiring superbug hospital infections. Goes on to say, if a jumbo jet crashed into the ocean every single day, it would roughly equal the number of Americans who die each day following superbug infections acquired at U.S. hospitals. Far from being some hyped-up scare story, that's actually the conclusion of none other than the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, which has now publicly warned that 1 in 25 hospital patients gets infected and tens of thousands die each year. On any given day, 1 in 25 hospital patients has at least one healthcare-associated infection, reports the CDC newsroom. The CDC's 2011 survey of 183 hospitals showed that an estimated 648,000 patients nationwide suffered 721,000 infections, and 75,000 of them died, reports the Washington Post. If you do the math, that comes out to 205 deaths per day on average in U.S. hospitals. He says, keep in mind that if terrorists were killing 205 Americans per day, every news network in the country would cover the story 24/7. If airplane crashes were killing 205 persons a day, it would be headline news everywhere. And if vitamins were killing even just one person a day, the entire government would be calling to ban all vitamins. But when hospital superbug infections result in the deaths of 205 Americans per day, it is simply another statistic and not treated as a national emergency. Somehow, the annual death of 75,000 Americans is considered business as usual in a sick care system that virtually everyone considers a disastrous failure. A hospital is one of the most dangerous places you can go in America. Now, that's a pretty interesting story and scary, and one that I've not heard of until I started researching this. And there are several articles from reputable sources that are reporting on this. But if you rely on the mainstream media for all of your news, you're not going to hear a lot of this. You may not hear any of this. The second one is not quite as big a deal, but it could be if the right circumstances happen, so I'm going to report on this one too. This is about the Ebola virus, and the article is Fear in Guinea Capital as Ebola virus spreads. New cases confirmed in Conakry Park spark fears of the deadly virus spreading beyond the West African nation's borders. Ebola, one of the world's most deadly viruses, is spread from a remote forested corner of southern Guinea to the country's seaside capital, raising fears that the disease which causes severe bleeding and almost always death, could spread far beyond this tiny West African nation's border. The Ebola has already killed at least 70 people, including one man whose family brought him to the capital for medical treatment. Anyway, it goes on to talk in this article about, obviously how with people flying all the time and how mobile the country or the world is now, how viruses like this could spread around the world. And in fact, they thought that somebody in Canada had contracted the Ebola virus, and thankfully it turns out that it was negative. But the CDC, again, is watching and monitoring the situation very closely, and they're prepared to get involved if necessary. But it's just, again, another sign with the spread of some of these superbugs and these mutating viruses that they're not really sure how to stop. Some cases can't stop. And then we're seeing things like tuberculosis and some of the other diseases from the past making a comeback. And then the possible spread of the Ebola virus. Matthew and Luke talk about pestilence, and so does the book of Revelation. Again, the point of this channel is to make you aware of current events as it relates to Bible prophecy, to show you that every single sign that Jesus said would be here before his return is definitely here and on the increase. Also today there were quite a few earthquakes again, including a 4.8 in Yellowstone National Park. That's a very important thing to keep an eye on because of the supervolcano there that, if erupts, could pretty much wipe out a lot of the United States. Combined with all the other earthquakes we've been having, I think it's very important to keep an eye on this stuff and be prepared, because again, if we force Israel to divide their land with this peace agreement, judgment's going to come on America, and it could be in the form of some major earthquakes. It could be in the form of a supervolcano like the one in Yellowstone erupting. We're living in very exciting times. All the things that, like I said, all the things that Jesus said would be happening are happening on an accelerating pace. It's time to make sure you are ready and take your faith seriously. Make sure you are saved. Keep your eye on the current events and stay reading the Word, and be prepared for anything that may come to pass. Keep looking up. All the signs are here. God bless.